I'm James Lynch, and this is my stock report for UFC Seattle, taking a look at the biggest winners and losers from the event, a walking back to my hotel edition of the stock report. UFC Seattle just wrapped up. I was at the event. I was there with Drake Riggs. You can see him right here. We're going to talk about, the biggest winners and losers, like I just mentioned there. To me, it's Joe Pyfer, biggest stock riser. No question about it. Took out a former champion, finished him in the second round. There was a lot on the line here for Joe. As far as getting that big win, he had the test a couple of years back against Jack Hermanson, doesn't pass that test, but he passes it tonight. And to me, to do this in a main event on one of the best cards this year, I don't think there's any question that he is the biggest stock riser on this card. Now, we'll talk about some other performances on here too, but Drake, are you sharing the same sentiment, or do you think someone else should be the biggest stock riser?
I mean, I think obviously a great choice there, but James, I got to give it to Alexa Grasso, and this is exactly, there's one reason why. I mean, you made a great point after the fight about that was one of the nastiest finishes that we've seen in a long time, but particularly in terms of the women's fights. But I don't usually get messages from people as much as I did tonight after being at events, commenting on like a finish like they did with that one. Like people who are very, very casual fans. So this event got a lot of eyeballs on it, more in my like personal life circle, and people were commenting on that fight in particular.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was probably the most shocking moment of the night easily.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to give it to Alexa Grasso, who very much needed that win. Keeps herself up in the mix there, but I don't think you can really go wrong with either of the top two winners of the night. But a lot of people are talking about what Alexa Grasso did. Got to be her first knockout, at least in a long time. Never in the UFC has she done that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And listen, I understand people and going with Grasso. I mean, if Pyfer ended up losing in the main event, maybe you don't. Maybe it is Grasso. I guess for me, it's Grasso's coming off a couple losses, granted against its, the best opposition you could possibly face in the weight class. But I just think with Joe, like this now puts him, he's like number 4. Like I think no matter, like we're at the point now with it did more for him, and he's got, who knows what's next for him. I mean, listen, we thought Imavov was going to get. Oh yeah, we got to look at the Space Needle here, by the way. Perfect. Space Needle cameo in the stock report here. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. Like I said, a bit of a vlogging style of the stock report here. But yeah, I just think that Pyfer's going to get a top 3 opponent next. Grasso will probably get someone good too, but I think because Grasso's lost a few fights and she had that draw as well with Valentina, that I don't think she'll get maybe the same type of thing. But it's neck and neck. I mean, if we're just going off style tonight, 100% it's Grasso. That might be one of the best finishes it's one of the best finishes in MMA history. But women's MMA history, it's got to be right up there. Like other than maybe like Holm knocking out Rousey or something in terms of significance and how it was finished and all that stuff too. There's a lot of different arguments for that. So,
that is right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah. So maybe you and I have ours reversed. So I got Pyfer 1, Grasso 2. What about number 3? Who's the third biggest stock riser?
I think that performance was really important for him. Crowd reacted to it probably more so because of Chase Hooper losing, being the hometown guy, but Lance Gibson's a prospect that we've had. I think you and I both have had a lot of faith in going back to the Bellator days, and of course had kind of unique situation with Bellator falling out and then getting to the UFC the way he did against King Green. But I think this was a really good win.
By the way, we can Frogger this, by the way. You shouldn't really do this, people crossing at a red light. Oh, there we go. Now it's our way. Yeah, I would probably go him as well, for the simple fact that Hooper was a bit of a name in the weight class. He finishes him. I mean, and also let's consider too that if Gibson had lost that fight, they could have cut him.
For sure.
We've seen that happen before because he didn't. A lot of people didn't like the Bobby Green fight as far as how that ended and everything. There wasn't a finish, and again, some people were critical of that, but I would go Lance Gibson as the other big stock riser, our third stock riser on this card. Again, Chiesa has his retirement, no real stock rise or anything there because it's his retirement there. What about some honorable mentions? Usari getting the win over Mensul Abdul Malik has got to be on there for me too. He was an underdog. He ends up getting it done. He was a slight underdog in this fight.
Laian Douglas, I think you got it.
Yeah, Lorian Douglas for sure. Laian Douglas, probably pronouncing that wrong.
I can't fully throw Tawfiq on there as much as I want to because
the age,
obviously,
and
sure,
what happened with the fence grab?
Which the fence grab. From my angle, I was sitting like it looked like the referee could not see whatsoever that there was a fence grab. Apparently, there was a headbutt that I missed also. But that was, a good win for Tawfiq in a very tough, very bloody fight. But I think because of the circumstances, he probably doesn't raise as much as he could have.
Yeah, I agree.
Very fun fighter. I love the guy.
Yeah, so let's go to our biggest stock droppers. That's the big one. I think there's obviously two choices, kind of like our stock riser and stock dropper. I think Macy's loss was worse because of the fact that, like, it was just a really bad loss. Like, she was unconscious for a while. She gets finished by someone, and Alexa Grasso, who's not really known for finishing her fights.
Not like that.
And, you know, Macy had a win streak going into this. You could make that argument, right?
Yeah.
But I just think, like I don't know where she goes from here. Like, I think there are other, obviously, I mean, she had a win streak going into this. There's other women that she can beat in the weight class. But I just think that that's a loss that sticks with you for a while. Adesanya lost prior coming into this. So I guess for me, it's like, I think there's still, I think, you know, even though Adesanya lost, I still think he fought a good fight prior to that. And I think he's not going to fight guys that have the power that Pyfer does all the time. I think with Barber, it's like, I just don't know. Like, she has yet to get that signature win at 125, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if she ever is a contender. Whereas Adesanya, you know, I don't think he's in the contender spot anymore, but I still think he beats a lot of ranked guys. I don't know if I can say the same for Macy. Does Macy beat a Manon Fiorot? Does she beat a Erin Blanchfield? Well, we'll never get that opportunity, but that's like, I think it's more devastating for Macy tonight, in my opinion, with the way she lost than Adesanya. So I'm going to go biggest stock dropper for me is Macy. Second biggest stock dropper is going to be, I would put Adesanya there just because of the age.
Sure.
And then my third one, I'm going to go Chase Hooper, because he's in a real tough spot now. He's lost back-to-back fights by knockout. This was in his hometown, right? Like, he had lots of time for this fight. Where does he go from here? I think it's kind of getting to the point now where that win streak, he's almost like Macy in a way, where those wins that he had, none of them, like, they weren't quality wins, so to speak. And so now he's sort of in a tough spot here. What do you think?
No, I agree with those, but I do think, I think we should mention Mansour.
Yeah.
I think he's
for sure. Yeah.
maybe for teetering on the 3 line there, because that's a guy who obviously UFC's had good faith in.
And he was a betting favorite. Well, not as big as, slight betting favorite, not as big as Hooper.
So yeah, I think Mansour is right in that conversation. But again, he's one of these guys who's super young, so it's like, I don't think it hurts him too much at all. But, like, you know, people expected more out of him in that one. He got pretty handily beaten in that fight.
Yeah, no, he did. I think with Hooper too, because he's lost a couple times now. That's kind of where I put him slightly ahead. But you could certainly make the argument otherwise. Were there any other fights we missed? I mean, obviously we mentioned.
Simone and Yanez was great. That was a fantastic fight.
You know what? Actually, I'll throw one in our honorable mentions for Adrian Yanez. I think his stock went up tonight for sure, because he was.
I think a little bit, not a lot, but
I think people felt like he won that fight, and I think that's how people are sort of taking it. You know, so I think his stock slightly goes up.
Strongest.
Yeah, no, it's true. So, just to recap, stock risers on my end, I'm going Pyfer, Grasso, and then Gibson.
And then Swift's my first two.
And then honorable mentions with Usari, Douglas, and who else? Maybe I'm missing a fight here, guys. I don't have my computer hear me as well. And then ours were kind of reversed, right, as far as what you had. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Grasso, Pyfer, Gibson, and then I agree with kind of the honorable mentions there.
There we go. We didn't argue at all, so kind of boring video for you guys, but
the action was too good, guys.
No, it was. That was one of the best cards I've got to cover ever. That was a lot of fun. So, anyways, let me know in the comments your top 3 biggest stock risers, droppers. Let me know. We're at our hotel now. Good timing. I got this all done before that happened. So I'll see you guys on Monday, and I'll talk to you guys soon.